about?
From Truitt's account.
Andrew Truitt.
Okay.
What's up, everybody? What's up? How's everybody doing? All right. I'm glad everybody joined in. Everybody's joining in. Now, I'm just letting y'all know we're going to be having a podcast. And what I'm doing is I'm going to have a co-host during the podcast. And this is going to be the co-host. Marie, welcome to my family on IG.
He's tripping.
This is my family on
I'll
IG.
be behind the scenes. Hi, guys.
She's a Marine Corps veteran, and she brings a lot to the conversation. You would think after being a Marine, she'd be kind of more politically correct, but she's not. So
No.
You're going to have to excuse her. We're going to take it to the podcast. That's what we're working on now, and this is going to be my co-host on the podcast. But today we're going to be talking about the Edric Truitt incident. What's up, y'all? What's up? I like the love y'all giving. The Edric Truitt incident, Jonesboro, Arkansas. The young man was in a car. Police, he was at the gas station. It was late at night. The gas station was lit up, had everybody in it. Police officer walks up, has them at gunpoint. I watched the debate back and forth on the IG account. Love the debating. I love a lot of the conversations that's going on, but we just don't understand when it comes down to, holding the officer accountable. Officers get so much passes, and it just drives me crazy. Like, yeah, but when you got to say, yeah, but, then there's a problem. Yeah, but there's a problem. The officer did this, but the person did that. You can't equate a person who's not trained, who's in a situation where he possibly could be doing something wrong, or he's at its worst. When police are entered into a situation, or they called, it's normally somebody's at their worst. And how they conduct themselves is totally different, and how a professional trained law enforcement officer is supposed to conduct himself. So stop saying, yeah, but if this person did that, the officer wouldn't have. It doesn't work that way. People are not trained to deal with officers. Officers receive thousands of hours of training to deal with individuals, and there's a correct way to do that. Well, you want to show the clip? Show everybody the clip? You want to show everybody the clip?
Show it, or can I just? All right, I'm going to show the clip because we don't have our projector up today. And then I'll read. I'm supposed to read.
Imperfect. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Facts. All right. While she finds she found it.
I have it.
Very concerned.
Okay.
She's going to show you the clip that we're talking about.
From Truitt's account, that's how things started out Sunday morning just after 3.
My hand in there.
He claims a hell in a police officer pulled a gun on him. Truitt says for no reason at all.
Nah, I ain't moving. No, my hand in there.
Truitt claims he was parked at this closed Double Quick store meeting up with family before heading home to Jonesboro.
As we get to leaving out, a car jumped in front of me, so I hit my brakes to let them go and pass by. All you gotta do is drive off. What's what I was doing?
By that time, Truitt claims he was blocked in and couldn't move, so he became the center of attention. Things just escalated from there.
Come on now. Shoot me.
Truitt says afraid, he started filming with his cell phone just in case.
I started rolling because he jumped out. He jumped out the car with his gun.
He says the officer gave demands, but he didn't want to make even the slightest move.
Play it safe, and then he was like, "That's fair to comply, but if I would have complied, I would have got killed."
In the video, you can hear the officer tell Truitt to turn off the car, that he won't shoot.
I'm not gonna shoot you.
He even tells him his body camera is on and rolling on the whole thing.
I'm filming too.
Truitt says he didn't believe the officer, so he didn't reach to turn the car off. Plus, he wanted his own proof aside from what video might surface later on. Truitt appears to have kept his hands out of the car's window the entire time. Eventually, his phone is dropped as it looks like he's pulled from the car. Police say they found a gun in the back of the car, which Truitt never denied having with him.
Do you think that he was afraid that you had a gun in the car?
Yeah, probably so.
Truitt says a gun wasn't in his reach and officers had nothing to worry about. As far as he's concerned, in hindsight, he says there's nothing he would have done differently.
What I did saved my life. That's right.
All right, now I just see the video. I just had a question, well, not even a question, but Remy 209, he says, when I see, when I see a cop, my heart races, and I get nervous when I see a cop. And then, a cop will ask me, look, why are you so nervous? The crazy thing about that is when I first got out on the police force and we had to actually stop a person and there was a possible gun involved in the whole nine. So, and there was a group of people. So the officer was explaining certain tactics that you use to tell whether somebody is nervous or not. Because when you're nervous, you kind of have something to hide. So he put his hand on the guy's chest and he told me, look, feel this. So I put my hand in the guy's, his heart was racing. It was racing pretty fast. So, he went through his spill. I'm the rookie officer. He's there and he's pretty much doing his thing. He's showing me how it's done. So when he left, he said, you got any questions? And I was like, yo, man, you ever dealt with the cops when you was younger? And he was like, it was, yeah, we had cops and we spoke. And I was like, what kind of neighborhood you grew up in? He was like, middle class, working. I was like, yo, man, in certain environments in the community I come from, poor, low income area, project community, if the cops approach me, I get nervous too because I didn't know what to expect when I was dealing with them because they dealt with my community so aggressively, so excessively. So you are nervous because you don't know whether you're going to get hit or not, you're going to get thrown to the ground or not. So when I was like, I don't think that's a good tactic because I've been stopped and shook down by the police just because of the environment I'm from. And then all of a sudden, you put your hand over my heart and you wonder why my heart is beating fast. Because I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, is this dude going to hit me? He's going to throw me on the ground? So when I started explaining like, yo, that's a horrible measure to use if you're trying to figure out whether a person is dirty or not or is he doing something wrong? Because when you do that and you use that as one of your elements, that's false. Because when I was younger, living in the projects, coming out, we had excessively aggressive officers. You will get beat down, you will get punched, so it would be very common for when they grab you, you like, oh, what's going to happen? So I started explaining this to this. I said, yo, I'm not using that. All the guys that was there, their hearts was racing, and none of them was bad. You ain't find no weapon on none of them, but you zoomed in because you felt this guy's chest and his heart was racing. And it just started really sinking in like, yo, these dudes really don't understand the community that they're policing. If you think, right, because my heart is racing because you approach me and you're questioning me and you trying to figure out something, I'm not going to be nervous. Like, I'm going to be nervous. So yeah, the Remy 203, yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying, bro. That just totally should not be one of the factors. But what I did realize, like, a lot of them felt that way, but nobody was telling them different. So I would tell them, I would say, yo, hold on, yo, that's a dumbass factor that you using, because yo, most of where I come from, you going to get nervous when a cop grab you, people like, well, what you nervous for? You ain't got nothing to hide. Yo, if you come from the neighborhoods I come from, you're going to be nervous. So you need to try to use something else, because that's not that shouldn't be one of those factors.
I don't even think coming from the neighborhood you come from, because even as a female, I live in the suburbs, and even to this day, if I get pulled over, I'm nervous as hell. One, because obviously watching all these videos, I got a little bit even more on guard with the officers, but just not knowing what they're gonna do, how they're gonna approach you, what they're gonna find, what they're looking for. You know what I mean? You hear a lot of times officers planning things in your car or making up false reports and things of that nature. So even as someone who lived in the suburbs and a female, I'm still nervous my damn self when I get pulled over. And then now with the hostile environment that you're in, you just never know.
Oh, and the reason why I say the area I come from, because that's where my experiences happen.
No, I
and
get
then
that.
I go back to police that same community, so I see these tactics being used on individuals where
I get that.
Right?
I was raised in the hood. I'm from Jamaica,
You just
Queens.
said-
I'm saying as an adult, I'm from Jamaica, Queens. He was running the streets, okay? I was in the books. So I think maybe the direction we were going in is different. But I'm just saying, even if you're from Jamaica, Queens, Bronx, New York, or somewhere in the suburbs, you know, you still have to be worried. You still, you know, people are still going to be on alert just the same way. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. People from lower income communities get it harsher. But I think even if you're just like in the suburbs, you're still going to get the same mistreatment all around.
Okay.
Because of yours. I know that not everybody don't want to say it's about your skin color, but because of that.
Right. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And your experience is your experience, and I respect your experiences. Let's see. Now, what do you think about this video with this guy?
Listen. So we're gonna call out. It's West Helena Police in West Helena, Arkansas. First off, when the cop realized that he was being recorded, he put the flashlight on his camera. You noticed that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You trying to hide your face.
Or trying to block
him from recording. Right. Either or.
Right.
He still was wrong.
Definitely.
For filming, because he knew he was wrong.
Right.
And then the other thing I noticed that I didn't like personally, I'm not going in order of the video. If you go back and you see the black cop come and approach the situation, and he didn't say nothing, but he's supposedly a good cop, right?
Right.
So why didn't he stop his...
I mean, we really don't know was he a good cop or not.
No, but you know when people say, why aren't cops speaking up, right?
Right.
And then there's other people who say, well, we have tons of good cops. To me, if you're a cop and you don't stop a situation that's aggressive from your partner, you're a bad cop. You're not a good cop.
Right.
Because you're not the one physically abusing a person.
Right. I agree with that.
Right.
You're a good cop, right? Your job is to go out and protect, serve, and provide your service that the community taxpayers pay for you to provide. It doesn't stop when it comes down to police. If you see an officer doing something wrong,
right,
you're supposed to interject. And yes, I've seen that done. A lot of people haven't seen that done, so when they start beefing about there's no such thing as good cops, I totally understand that concept, because if all you see is the bad, you kind of tend to, your viewpoint is based on what you see in your experiences. Right. What I like to do is invite a bunch of law enforcement officers to come and be a part of the discussion. What I want you to do is have these civil conversations, debate them, start this conversation. Because when I was active, a lot of the conversations that I would give these officers, it was just new conversations. They didn't even understand the culture, the environment. So you can enlighten officers when they come and they have these conversations. Yeah, I know it's hard when the officer tries to justify it, but he's seeing it through his eyes and the culture of policing, and through his eyes and the culture of policing is wrong at times. It's extremely wrong. Like officer of color, I've seen his or her debating, and I totally see the viewpoint. Even though he was trying to be real objective, he wasn't understanding the community. That culture, that community, it's very common for after the clubs to go and chill, migrate somewhere where we all meet and we all talk. I've been a part of that environment. When you come out the clubs, where everybody's going, we all go and sit somewhere. The argument that the officer was giving when y'all was debating, well, it's 3:00 in the morning, the gas station is closed, you can break it. If you understand your environment, especially as a cop, if you understand the environment, you understand your area, you know what happens. That's why you have to be involved in your community. You know when the club is out, you know where everybody's going to hang out at. Mm-hmm. You know where they're going to be sitting and chilling. That whole group, right? from leaving the club, they go and they sit and they chill. I've been a part of that group to go sit and chill. Not yet. Somebody might come through. It might be an argument or fight when it comes down to if something can occur. But not the whole group is going there to do something wrong. It's just a meet and greet location after the club lets out. But he gave a scenario or argument, he or she, I don't know who the officer was, as if it was dark. It was one vehicle in the parking lot breaking into, so he's on high alert. He doesn't know what kind of person, the person's in the car. Dude, like if you know the job, then you already know. I looked at the lot. If you look at the scene, it's lit up. It has several people in the background.
Right.
And you walking up to a car, like all the lights was out, the business was closed, there's nobody around, and you see a guy driving through, stopping. Come on, that don't even make no sense. And he says, well, he or she have stopped bad cops from being bad cops. You trying to make an argument that don't support that scenario. And then you wonder why people just start just going crazy at you. You got to ask yourself, right? And I've seen cops do that. I've seen cops police one way. And then I've seen cops with the same incident police a different way. Why are you so aggressive when you police in this way? When you was over here, you was policing a different way. Like, you gotta understand the environment that you're in and be able to understand the alert level, when you need to be on a high alert and when you just need to be regular. Like, come on, man, that just don't make no sense.
All right, you say high alert, right? With black people or people of color, we're very animated, we're very expressive. So to an officer, a white officer who doesn't know the culture is going to automatically think, oh, she's getting loud, she's her voice is escalating, she's moving her hands when she speaks. When I get mad, I move my hands, but that doesn't mean I'm going to try to attack you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
automatically, if you raise your voice, because you remember that one video with it was the two friends, and they had called the cops because the guy at the house pulled out a gun on them.
Right.
And she started expressing herself because one, she was fearful. Two, she was, trying to explain the situation, and she ends up getting arrested and thrown to the ground because he didn't like the way she was speaking to him.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I totally understand that.
When they see culture, when they see blacks or Hispanics, people of color, we're very expressive. We do get loud, but that doesn't mean we have violent tendencies. That's just the way we express ourselves. So I think that is probably where a lot of cultural miscommunication is at, because they, like you always say, you should police where you're from.
Right.
Culturally.
Not to say that you can't, but I think you have a huge advantage of policing the community where you're from.
Yes, because you understand.
Because you understand.
Right.
Yes, there was a fire. He did have a registered firearm in the rear of the vehicle. And now, if you look at the vehicle, the officer, he had the gun out already. So he identified the gun after he had the gun out. So, because you hear him yell gun, he's walking over to a vehicle with his gun out. And if you look at his charges, loitering, like who, unless there's a factor, right, that would drive your alert level to a higher status, why are you walking up to a vehicle with your gun out and you investigating a loitering charge? Like, that's not consistent with that level.
When he said gun, nobody moved.
Yeah.
No officer, his partners, nobody moved when he said gun. Because it was non-threatened. The whole situation, the whole environment was non-threatened. So for him to yell gun, I think that was just his way, with him saying gun, him telling Edric to reach in to turn off the car.
Right.
That would have been a perfect way for him to get away and say self-defense.
Right.
Because nobody took him serious. Not even not saying they took him serious, but they knew the situation was a non-threatened situation.
Right.
So they didn't even, go in to intervene.
The alert level for the other officers didn't increase. Yeah, they looked and they just walked. Yeah, I seen the officer in the background.
Yeah,
But you know what? In that state, it's legal to carry a registered firearm.
Right.
Right. So the thing is, I guess the question I would have is, right, he had a firearm in the rear of the vehicle, right? Why to turn around, right, to grab the firearm, right? I get there, you start thinking, you don't know who you're dealing with, you don't know if the gun's registered or not, so you walk over to the vehicle, you see the gun. Do you draw down on everybody in a state that most of the population carries a gun? Do you draw down on everybody? And why would you draw down when the gun's in the back of is in the back? It's not for him to actually get the gun. He would have had to turn all the way around, reach all the way in the back, and the officer was the tactical position that he was at. He had the advantage. He was standing in a position where he could have just had his hand on his gun and told him to come out the car, pat him down, checked his ID, make sure the gun was registered. It just amazes me how people say, "Oh, well, he had a gun."
Right.
The majority of the people in that state carry guns.
Right.
Like that state is one of those states where you can have a gun, a registered gun.
But what I love sometimes when the people, you don't even know if they're supporters, but they just be coming up with the dumbest comments, because I read them all. As if we don't do our research before we post. Right. We do our research before we post. So you can't comment and say, "Oh, well, he had a gun." We know he had a gun. That state doesn't author. Yes, we know, because we've done our research. We're not going to we're not going to post something that we haven't fact checked. And if we are wrong, we do come back and we'll post a video with an update. So for people who are saying that, I guess we're not, what is the word I'm looking for? We don't know what we're doing?
Hockey Wolves 3.9. He didn't what? What are you saying? Because I was trying to add you.
Most states, we have people waiting, but most states require a person to notify a police officer immediately of the presence of a gun. He didn't.
That's not true. That's not true. Can you imagine the NRA would go crazy if you had to notify the police when you have a gun?
Right.
The NRA would go crazy. The Second Amendment protectors, you know how they get when you start talking about restricting any type of gun movement requirements. That is totally not true. That's not the case. I worked the state as a police officer where you can literally just carry a gun. And they didn't have to tell me that they had a gun. And most states that have that, right? Most states that have allow you a citizen to carry, they don't have to tell you. They don't have to tell you that. So I don't know what state you're in that said it. If you want to DM me the state that you said that requires each citizen who has a gun to tell the officer, DM me that state and I'll look it up. When we start posting, I will definitely look that up.
Look up Philandra Castillo.
That's that. Yeah, you didn't have to find that.
He said he had a gun.
Right.
He said he was pulling up for his.
Right. He said he had a right. He said he had a gun.
And look what happened.
He said, "I'm a licensed carrier. I have a firearm." Yep. And look what happened. That's a courtesy. If you go to any safety firearm training school, they advise you. It's not a requirement, but it's a courtesy to let the officer know if he sees the gun, then he's not so on high alert. Because 9 times out of 10, when a person tells you they have a gun, right, they're registered. The people who don't tell you they got the gun and you find it, those are the ones you really got to worry about. But the person says, "Yeah, I got a gun," or the gun is in plain view, those, that is normally a law-abiding citizen registering a gun. But on the officer's end of the spectrum, he still don't know. So there's certain parameters, there's certain indicators that he has to, I guess, keep in mind when he's dealing with you when you do have a gun. I've stopped several people who had guns and license, permits. I mean, you just got to know how to deal with that type of individual. And the way you deal with it is not have everybody at gunpoint. Like, that's just not how that works.
Okay.
Any officers want to join the conversation? Anybody want to add something?
Okay, so wait. So OG Marshall said it's not that they aren't familiar with different cultures, it's that a lot of them don't want to be familiar. You think that's true? I don't,
I can't really say if they don't want to be familiar. Me, I worked with a lot of cops, right, who just didn't know. And a lot of them came to me after I'm telling them, like, yo, listen, the reason why y'all having problems is because y'all reading things wrong. You taking a heartbeat as a consideration of somebody's doing something wrong. Did anybody ever tell you that that's a bad indicator? If you coming from a community that officers are very excessively aggressive, they're going to be nervous when you approach them. And then when I started telling them that, they like, wow, damn, nobody never told me that. And then I had, these are white officers. They was like, yo, I'll never use that again. I never looked at it that way. So to say like they just don't want to, I mean, I'm just telling you my experiences. There's almost 1 million officers out here. I can't speak for all of them. I just tell you guys about training, policy, procedure, because what I'm familiar with and my experience as an officer. You have officers who turn people, you don't hear about it. I've been a part of, because I was a union vice president, so I get to see disciplinary. I've seen many a times where the person who made the complaint was another officer complaining that he witnessed wrongdoing from another officer. But I don't get mad at you because you don't see that. So if you all constantly seeing aggressive and that's your experience, then yo, that's your viewpoint. It's been made by your experiences. The only reason why I can say on the flip side of that, because I experienced that.
Okay. So I guess we can go. We have like 3 people waiting.
All right. We had a few people. We try to keep everybody involved, but this is how Loomis.
She was first.
Okay, let her come in.
I think it's a she. I don't know. I'm just gonna.
Thanks, y'all, for all the love and support. We had 18,400 supporters.
Thank you so much.
We did that in 7 months, I believe it is. So I do appreciate the support. Y'all telling me that we're in the right direction. Just go to him then.
Yeah.
And keeping this comment, moving this to a podcast.
It's called
The Box.
No, the podcast is The Box.
All right, this right here. This guy right here. This is Loomis. He's an active guy. He's on the job. He chimes in. He communicates with me. We debate videos. He actually sends videos. He has turned in. He's reported bad policing. So when he's talking to you and he's giving his viewpoint, a lot of officers don't want to come on here because y'all going extremely hard at them. So when the officers do come on, give them a chance to talk. Just like they wouldn't listen until I got on the job and then I started explaining. That was enough to have some officers see things a little differently. You got a guy who's coming on and he's want to be a part of the change in that narrative. He's like, yo, listen, I'll come and I'll talk to your audience. So if you got anything that you want to add to the conversation, go ahead, Loomis.
Oh yeah, so I saw like the video that you were talking about, and I know exactly what you're talking about. How sometimes like guys that come with that super aggressive approach, how it raises people up. Because I work with guys that do that, and sometimes like not necessary. For example, there's reason to be careful about stuff, but you can still scan and talk to the person, kind of like just normal, but not be so yelling and making them mad, because then people around are going to start getting antsy and they're going to start moving on. It's like now you got a hairy situation when it could have been avoided if you just would have, still, like I said, paid attention to your surroundings and still just talk to them differently, not just been so super aggressive all the time. So I know exactly what you're talking about there. And as far as the video, to come out drawn out already, unless he would have already saw a gun or something like that, or got told, like, that from what I saw in the video, he didn't discover a gun until he got close, till he got up on the vehicle and then saw it in the back seat and called it out. So he didn't really have a reason to come out drawn. There's lots of people around. He had other officers around that could have approached the car with him. Because it looks like you said, like after a nighttime, a night gig, a club or whatever, people like to just hang out, show off their cars, parking lot, whatever, But you guys say, hey, man, let's go on, let's get out of here. You can't hang out here, whatever. Come on, clear this, you're blocking vehicles. They usually leave, and it sounded like that officer was already a little frustrated with that guy because he probably told him to move a couple of times or leave, and the guy was taking a sweet time talking and socializing. He was already aggravated. That's probably why he went over there and came out with that level. That's the reality of it seems.
Because I heard him say, like, I already asked you to leave already. And then he came back. I heard
Yeah,
that
but
in this
there was
conversation. I
probably more
said,
to that. They would probably
okay, I
exchange
see
more
where this
words
is
than that.
coming
It
from.
probably wasn't that simple. Those words, it pissed him off because he was probably talking shit to where and so he was already, so he went over there thinking, okay, I got something. That's why else would you arrest somebody for loitering? You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right. That is
that's a
such a
waste of
weak
paperwork.
charge.
That's a
Like,
waste of time.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's not going to stick. The prosecutor's not going to. It's not going to stick. So
Right,
you
right.
did that to prove a point. Well, you did that because you knew, hey, you pulled this gun and made this scene out. So now, if you don't have anything the rest of show, then you got some explaining to do. So you have to, at that point, he
Right.
had to pull the order.
Right.
And now
He was reaching. He was reaching. Now he's like,
yeah,
oh man, it's on film. I got to
yep.
arrest him for something.
You don't
And
have
the
nothing.
thing he
The
pulled
gun's
out of the
legit.
hat was a loitering charge.
Yep.
That tells you how weak his whole incident
Yeah.
was when you just reaching for a charge to try to justify it now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's how you
I
know.
totally
Like,
agree with you.
when he did that, he had like he was hoping he'd find dope or something. When okay, cool. I brought up this high, but shit, the gun's registered, fucking everything.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
you
He
got.
probably was like, oh damn, the gun's registered so he can carry it. I have him at gunpoint, so what can I do now?
So what about the failure to comply charge because he felt he didn't listen to him? But if he listened to him, I think he would have got shot.
Did you?
I don't care what you say.
Well, I mean, he's going to stick. He's the failure to comply charge. No. That's when all that shit's going to get thrown. I mean, nothing's going to stick. It's not. He did that because he realized if he hadn't had anything, that's a law. He would have been hemmed up. But he had to take what he could get. You know what I mean? Like out of something, because the guy, he clearly. I even if I was that guy and I was, if I explained to the cop, hey, I'm a police officer, and he was, hey, get your hand. I wouldn't do it too because, if he thinks that, like, hey, I know there's a gun in the backseat too, and I don't want, hey, I could probably get smoked too. So I'm like, hey, my hands are right here.
Right.
All your partners is over. If y'all want to hit me up, Sonic beat me, whatever. So I feel it in there too.
Because I always say, we spoke to officers, when you take off your uniform as a black man, you're still a black man. When you go on them streets, when you're riding in your car and you get pulled over, they don't know you're a cop. What I'm saying? You're a black man to them. So regardless if after the fact that they shoot you and oh damn, he was a cop, you were still a black man first.
Yeah.
So you always gotta be cautious of that. It's scary.
Yeah, it's definitely
that you don't know, and let's say they got a problem with something. You don't know something. You could be there visiting family or whatever, and then like there could be a problem with this, and hey, maybe you put a description, maybe just I'm wearing black shirts. Oh yeah, there's dudes that come out and then anything. So their aggression levels up here, and I'm cocky like, hey, you chill out, stupid. And then it happens. It happens a lot. It's just, I mean, most of the time once it gets squared away, hey, we can, it's verbal. It doesn't get blown out of proportion and shit. So
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Because you know it happens a lot, right? The guy, the black cop, as a cop yourself, right? And did you see the black cop in the video that was just standing there, not checking the other cop?
He didn't want to get, but I get it too. I know where you're going with it, but see, you got to remember too. If you become a part of that, then you with him, you with him. So he's like, hey, you can't, later on, you messed up, but you can't drag me in your mess, So it's kind of like that because the guy wasn't the main officer in there. He messed up as far as the calls he made. He didn't go as far as, hey, he committed a crime. Like he wasn't being like trying to plan doing anything just strictly just criminal like that. But every one of those other officers know, hey, look, you're doing the most. You know what I'm saying? This is too much. Like, and if you go in and you help him with that, now you're the assistant and you're involved. You're involved with that report, all the details that all those mistakes that he made. Now you involved with. So you either got to explain, or you can kind of be like, hey, I'm standing off. If you need anything, I'll help you out. But you don't want to go get because anybody all them in the clothes clearly it was a bullshit. I mean, he got butthurt about something that happened over there from a previous interaction that he had with that dude.
So what you're telling me is paperwork. You guys don't want to do paperwork. So you don't want to get involved when you're caught doing something wrong.
No, there's that, but then you have to explain later on because that guy's going to get like the way he's going to get questioned. And then now I got to be in a position to tell on it like, hey, look, this guy's. And so now more people are not going to like me. I'm going to get shitty just details like. You see me working
that's that retaliation.
No,
that's
but you're telling me
you get retaliated on when you do turn in
No. But, okay, so you're not turning him. You're checking him. So because you checked him, now you have to report that you checked him.
No, okay, so to check him, you got to remember, if I'm checking him right then and there on the scene too, it's just people recording, people around, people like, hey,
Okay.
hey, then now it's going to get back up to point. Hey, look, he did this. Oh yeah, and let's say people are saying, hey, look, I'm doing all this stuff. That's going to cause, like, if I'm being portrayed as, hey, look, he's checking these other dudes, like it can help, but it can hurt you. For example, if I do that and I go and I sorry, if I do that and I go and I get check this guy and hey look, let's go, you don't have anything on this, and then later on he goes and says, yeah, he pulled me off, I had something, because there's not going to be any facts to follow up, because that stop would have stopped. There wouldn't have been whether this guy had dope, drugs. He would have said, no, I had it. He would have talked that up, because remember, that primary officer went over there, he was hoping he would find something, but he didn't have anything.
Right.
So this guy goes away, I pull him away, this guy leaves. He's going to go saying, I messed up his investigation. He's going to amp it all up like something that would have been, because it's gone now. You don't have the risk. So I messed that up because he saw this. Oh, he's going to do all that, and he's probably more senior than him, because that guy looks like he didn't care anymore. He's about to retire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you don't really so.
You can't check them in front of people, and you can't check them behind closed doors either. That's technically what you're saying.
No, you can check them behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors, yeah.
Solve the situation. Like that's
All right, let me give you an example.
That's like you
Hold
can't
on,
be a
hold on,
bad.
hold on.
You gonna spank their ass, but
But let me give you an example. This is a real life incident that I was involved in. Me and my partner was working a tech unit. We just left the pizzeria. Now we're going back into the projects. Now, it's a tech unit. It's a specialized unit. We deal with guns and drugs. We really no traffic cop. Running light. So we're at the stoplight, right? And the light we have the red, and the side street has the green. So you can see the side street turns from green to red, and then we turn from red to green. But it was a car trying to make the light. So we, our partner's driving. He slams on the brakes, but the car goes right through the red light right in front of us. So he looks at me like, oh damn, what you want to do? So I look around, because we not traffic light, we're not ticket cops, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I look around, everybody that was around was looking like, oh, I know y'all not gonna let that go. like if that was me, and I was like, damn, everybody looking. I'm like, yo, just stop the car, man. Just stop the car. So he gets behind the car, he lights up the car, lights the sirens, we pull over. So now I'm in the passenger seat, so I'm covered. He's contact. He's driver. All that means is he walks up to the driver, and he has the discussion and license and registration. And I go to the right side of the vehicle, and I'm looking in the vehicle for weapons. I'm making sure nobody can, he doesn't have any weapons. See if there's anything dangerous that he can hurt us with. So the officer, my partner, wasn't at the window 5 seconds. 5 seconds, right? And he said, I will pull you out this fucking car by your head. Yo, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Damn. So I stepped back to the rear of the vehicle. I said, hey. I said, come here. So he comes back, right, to the rear of the car. I said, yo, here, you cover me. I'm going to go talk to him. So I walked up to the driver's side. I was like, sir. He's like, what? I said, oh. I said, I don't know what happened between you and that other officer. I really don't. I said, but do me a favor. What I want you to do, I want you to talk to me like I'm talking to you. I said, I'm going to show you respect. I want you to show me respect. I get it, but I don't know what happened, but I want you to treat me like I treat you. I said, sir, can I see your license and registration, please? And then he was like, he dug in, he reached for his license and registration. He gave it to me. So I handed it to my partner to run his license. So I was like, okay, so now what happened? And he was like, your partner over there, somebody need to teach him something. Somebody need to teach him some manners. He need to be more like you. He said, he don't know how to show no respect. I said, what happened? He said, he asked me for my license and registration. And as I was getting my license and registration, he said, damn, y'all motherfuckers ain't got nothing better to do. And my partner he went off. He was like, what? I will pull you through. He just started screaming at the guy. And so I said, so he got mad because you said we should be doing something better. Is that what you're telling me? He said, yes. I said, I get it and I understand. I said, we're a tag unit. We don't do this lights. We don't do these little traffic light thing. I said, right now we got to call another officer here who has a ticket book because we don't do tickets. Like we guns and drugs. I said, we don't do that. I said, but you know, we wasn't even trying to stop you. You ran a light in front of us with everybody around, and they looking.
Yeah.
I said,
You
so
had to.
we was just gonna give you a warning to slow down, but because you want to say something smart to the officer, and then he starts yelling back. You see how it just escalated? He was going to tell you, give you a license and registration back and say, yo, next time, just be careful. Don't be seeing that you was trying to make the light. You didn't. But you just jumped right out the gate and said, don't you motherfuckers got something better to do? The reality is we do got something better to do, but you ran light right in front of us. And he was like, damn. The guy was sitting, he was like, I wish he'd have had your kind of demeanor. I said, yeah, but not everybody who wears this uniform, I can't speak for them. I only can speak for myself. I said, I get what you're saying, though, because I come from an environment where officers was more like him and less like me. I'm trying to make that change. So when people come, he said, man, you need to get everybody on your page, man. He said, because people like that, they have problems. So I said, let me go talk to him, and I'll be right back. So I said, yo, you really going to write this dude a ticket? He said he's sorry. He apologized. He really didn't apologize, but I really didn't want to be there for a traffic light ticket, and he's still you have to wait for a unit to come and give him a ticket. He's like, oh, okay, he apologized. So I came back and said, yo, next time, right, when the officer pull you over, and I get sometimes you can get an asshole, right, and you feel like you need to say something back. Just hold on, just wait. I mean, if everything is going right, don't let you be the one who starts the actual escalating encounter. Hold on. Starts the escalating encounter. Just, let the officer, and then you respond to that, right? I said, because what you just did, you really, if it wasn't for me, you just talked yourself into a ticket. Like, that didn't even make no sense. So he was like, hey, right. He gave me a 5. He was like, yo, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I said, he can give you a ticket. So we get back in the car, right? Now, this officer just got transferred to my unit, right? Maybe 2 weeks before that. So he was riding with me, new guy. So I was like, yo, man, what's wrong with you, man? He said, that fucking asshole said something. I said, dude, if you can't take people saying shit to you with this job, this ain't the job for you, man. I said, people going to say shit. You got to be better than that. You the professional here. You have to be. It's called restraint, man. That's why not everybody can do this job, because it's called restraint.
I got roasted a couple days ago.
And then joking around, right? This is the most bugged out shit that I came across. I said, man, what's wrong with you? You got beat up when you was little? He said, yeah, I did. I said, oh, shit.
Wait, so that cop was white?
I said, are you serious? He was like, yes. I said, I always heard that growing up. Like, most of these guys who did this job that was beat up, I really didn't think that the shit was true. I thought it was just somebody talking shit. I said, but yo, he said, yeah, I did. I used to get my ass kicked. I was like, man, this ain't the job for you, man. This ain't payback.
Are you talking about the same cop that pulled the guy over?
This is the cop. Yeah, this is what.
So he was white, and the guy was black.
Yes.
And that tells you why.
Yes.
He got off. Because why can't the guy say, well, don't you guys have something better to do? He probably didn't go all night. He was probably just saying
a lot of officers don't have restraint. So
that,
when you say something to them, right?
Saying, oh, well, you should have not said that.
They escalated.
But maybe he was just having a bad day. He wanted to say, well, you guys have nothing better to do. But yet, here you go with the other cop who doesn't know the culture, and he was just talking smack, and yet he's wilding out.
I get
it. But yet you're telling the citizen, well, don't talk to him like that.
Okay, but look. Next time, right? I might not be there. I'm trying to help this guy avoid a cop like that.
I get that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to intervene, stop it. I'd rather inform him how to deal with that officer than that officer have free reign to do what he wants.
But you're writing the officers wrong because...
No, I'm not. I'm educating that individual on how to deal with an excessive aggressive
cop. So what did you do with the cop? Just because you asked him if he got bullied?
Like, right.
What was the solution?
No, the solution is, right, yo, when you with me, man, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be an IA or something that's stupid. You don't want to. I was like, no, we don't get down.
That's the same thing he was saying. Oh, I don't want to I don't want to do paperwork, so I'm not going to say nothing or correct you. That's what did you say to him when he
Right, but that's not paperwork. It comes more than just paperwork.
I get that, but you're telling him, you're saying, yo, next time you want to do that, don't be riding with me. Just tell him that's not how you do it, and this is how the culture was, and this is why he said it this way. Don't take it personal when people tell you things. Like,
listen, the culture of police. Go ahead.
Don't get my damn.
Some cats though, they're just not going to get it. Like they grew up, because especially nowadays, like, I mean, the hiring cats, like, they want everyone, because the way the policing is now, they want you to, college degrees, all this stuff that looks good on paper. And a lot of these cats never been in a fight, never been in a fist fight in their life.
Right.
They never been, they never been into an argument with they never been around like real black people. They might have had a black person in their college class that came from Arkansas. And, hey, he's a top, but they never. So they get put in a situation like shit. I think he's gonna. That's the reality of why a lot of this stuff is happening, because they don't. The partners, they probably the same way, so they don't ride with a guy like me or you or whatever. So like, if you got someone that hey, like you were saying earlier, we're real animated. I'm animated. I use my hands a lot. Right. I make jokes. I talk and I'm loud sometimes. But if you get a guy that's never been around, never had a friend, never had other guys in college that they hung out with that or you said, oh, this is the way people, this and they all of a sudden are in a situation down to, and then or at that in that video, for example, oh man, I don't want to get shot first, so I'm going to come out like this because I'm going to go. Right. And it's not necessary. And like any regular person can say, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, right.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Hold on. Listen, everybody, I got Loomis on the line. He's an active officer. He volunteered to come on here to talk to you guys. As we talk, I'm deleting and blocking certain people. This is a much needed conversation that we all need to have in society to try to change the narrative. If this conversation is not for you, just leave, go to another topic.
Is not
because
a black and white conversation.
This is a right and wrong conversation. It's not a black and white conversation. I'm reading a lot of the comments. To get this narrative changed, we got to have this discussion. A lot of officers don't know what the real problem is, and this is a platform to have that discussion. So if all you got is fuck you, fuck 12, you can change. This conversation is too mature for you. We talking about bad cop bill, changing the narrative and holding bad policing accountable. I'm encouraging more of police to come on and have this conversation. Now he's done that, and he's brave for doing that, because a lot of officers are not going to do that. So respect the conversation. If you don't got nothing positive to add, then don't add anything. Because right now I'm just blocking you. I don't care about deleting and blocking. This IG account is not this is a very small part of what I'm trying to do. So I can block you with no problem and don't care whether I have you as a follower or not. My numbers is going up tremendously. 7 months, I got 18,000 followers. So we're in the right path. So respect the conversation. If not, I'll just continue to block and delete you.
Okay, there's a comment from Mayhem West, right?
I got a phone call real quick. I'll let you in a little bit.
All right, thanks.
I gotta take this call real quick. I gotta get ready to go to work in a little bit too.
All right, be safe.
I'll let y'all know.
All right.
All right, man.
All right.
So
go ahead.
Hold on. Okay. So Mayhem West, right? When he says paperwork, he means he's legally liable for the entire stop. I get that, right? But he would have been not liable, but once, let's say, Idric.
Right.
If Idric was shot, he's involved now because he was around, right?
Right.
So
that's
before
exactly
that
right.
even escalated to that point, why couldn't he just, bruh?
No, he should have. He should have.
But you're saying, you and him are saying that.
You just missed the whole point.
I missed the whole point.
You saying what? Saying what?
Just like when you said your cop friend pulled the person over.
Right, he wasn't my friend. He was a partner, somebody I work with. So he's not a friend of mine.
Oh, you are.
Go ahead.
Emphasis on he don't want to be no friend with no cop. I get it.
Go ahead. No, it's somebody I worked with. But go ahead.
Okay, your associate, right? Mm-hmm. And you didn't check him.
I did. I removed him. He's talking about pulling the guy out the window. I said, hey, come back here.
But what you said was when next time you don't ride with me if you're gonna be doing that.
If he can't,
but you didn't correct his wrong.
Okay, listen to what I'm telling you right now, right? He was at the driver's side of the vehicle. He told a guy that he was gonna pull him through the window, right? It was escalating. I stopped the escalation. I brought him to the rear of the vehicle, and then I took over. And then once I finished that, we had a conversation about that's not how I do business. That's not how I get down.
This is how you should do it.
That's my partner. He's riding with me. He's new to my unit. He's gonna have to learn now how to do it the correct way if he wants to stay in my unit. I don't understand how you don't understand.
I do understand because I feel like you're making an excuse for this dude, not correcting him, and then he leaves to go somewhere else.
Anybody else got a question? Because that don't even make sense. You said I didn't check him.
You didn't check him.
I moved him from about to escalate with an individual, right? Yes. I dealt with the individual, and then I came back and I checked him.
you checked it, right?
Right.
But now you put in the emphasis on the passenger.
No, I didn't put the emphasis on the passenger.
Well,
if you look at every write-up that I have, right? Every write-up that I have, right?
Yes.
Is we're educating people that we should never have to educate
Let me tell you something
people.
right now. The podcast
Go ahead.
is going to be
Fire.
unbiased, okay? Because we argue like this all the time. Because from my
look, he is right. Thank you.
Whatever.
Thank you.
Whatever,
that.
Whatever. Like from my military background, I think we're so much more disciplined than cops.
Right. And I think
training,
that's true.
Yes. So I'm trying to, every time we talk about this, I'm always trying to understand, like, why is it that as a military, as a Marine, we cannot get away with and 95% of the stuff cops do, we cannot get away. And we don't even, it's just like an everyday job.
Can we add somebody?
And we can't.
Let's add somebody else to the conversation.
Oh, you trying to cut me off?
No. I just want to get people. I want to get them involved.
You don't want to have this conversation.
As a felon, he is right. Oh, yes. yes. Who's that, King?
No, y'all not going to sit here and agree with him. No, yep, she right. Listen.
She's not right, but go ahead.
50-50.
Okay. Can we add her? Whoever just.
I'm about to. We got two people. Hold on. Let me see. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. Oh, we got 3 people. Hey, oh, she's back. Or no, it won't let me. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, she's just not coming through, so let's do this one.
All right, we just added another person to the conversation. But y'all all better tune in on the podcast.
Yes, it's Station Head. It's an app. I'll post it.
Probably in like
another 2 days or something like that. I'll post it so you guys can go. It's an app on your phone.
Right.
And we're just gonna have open conversations, non-biased, politically incorrect. Okay.
It's gonna be more fire, and they let you add 3 people, right?
Yes, to the
3 people to the conversation.
Yeah.
So we can have a whole big discussion with 3 people. So this is gonna be big. This is gonna be another big move towards keeping the conversation going, keeping the conversation live. Anybody else want to join the conversation? Anybody else got any questions? Question is, there is any psychological training? Yeah, you do have psychological training in the police department. You have to take a test to enter, and then in the academy, they teach you how to deal. And I've seen this so many times when you start talking about emotionally disturbed people, there's a block on teaching you how to deal with that. But like a lot of what you learn in the academy, what you see on all the clips that I have don't represent training. Seems like, and I know why, because the first thing you are told by veteran officers when you get out of the academy, okay, everything you learned in the academy, just leave that shit alone. Now the real training starts now. And I think that's one of the major problems in policing. I was told that every guy in my academy class, after the first week, we all had a little party to tell everybody, a little gathering, just to back and forth to throw what we experienced in our first week. And everybody was saying how all the veteran officers like, throw that shit you learned in the academy out the window. Yeah, and that is so bad, because that's what keeps you and the citizens alive on the street is the training. That's what keeps the over $1 billion payout down. Because as soon as someone tries to sue you for police misconduct, the first thing that they subpoena is your training folder. That's the first thing. And the first thing they go, okay, this is what the officer did, and this is what your training did. Now you are liable because your officer didn't follow training. Come on, pay me. That's why taxpayers don't understand when it comes down to holding police accountable, you have to demand they follow their training. You keep paying because they're not following training. Lawyers love, you don't know how many lawyers reached out to me since I started this, saying when people contact you, they tell you they got brutalized or victimized by the police, send them to me. Just refer them to me, because a police brutality case is very easy to beat, because 9 times out of 10, the officer didn't follow his training. I was always told, if you follow your training, you can't get in trouble. you cannot get in trouble. I was dealing with an individual one day, and he came out of a bar. He didn't want to leave. I was telling his friend, yo, get him out of here because I'm gonna have to arrest him. Yo, just take him, get him out of here. He's drinking, he's drunk. I was like, yo, you're not gonna take him out of here. I'm gonna take him to jail. He was like, yo, he ain't listening to me. So when I went to arrest him, he yanked away. So I grabbed him, arm barred him to the ground. I had other officers run over to me. It was like, they recording. I was like, let him record. What I just did, you will find in the training manual. I will stand by everything I'm doing. They can record all day long. I don't care. As long as I'm following training, I got nothing to worry about. So I don't understand how, these officers don't understand that. These police departments don't understand that. I'm starting to realize they don't care because they're not paying it. Taxpayers are paying for when they don't follow training. So when I heard in the police department, so many are like, yo, don't worry about it. Let the city cut the check. I don't care. Who cares? Let the city cut the check. That's like, I don't have to follow training and somebody else is going to pay for it. Well, that's crazy. It's over $1 billion, people. Start getting the police department, start demanding these officers follow that training. It's just that simple. It's just that simple.
Somebody said, oh, just shout out to everybody who's, loving the show and commentaries and all that. Thank you. Just trying something new. It doesn't matter what color, people need to know respect. I'm sorry. Just because you have on a uniform doesn't warrant me to automatically respect you. Respect is given and earned in the same way. So if you approach me crazy, like for the last video where the young man was in the handcuffs and the cop said, he asked for his badge number, and he said, my badge number is fuck you.
Right. Yeah, that was totally disrespectful.
I'm not respecting somebody who approaches me in that manner.
Right.
Period.
Right. I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree.
Don't think just because you're in a uniform, I'm supposed to automatically respect you. It goes both ways. That call just is not coming through. Okay.
No, I don't. You said, do I think they're being told by their higher ups to police the wrong way? No, I don't think they're being told to police the wrong way. I think the culture of policing, been policing the wrong way for so many years, that's just became the way of, that's how they police now. That's how they police now. I really don't think, they're saying, okay, go out and do it the wrong way. I don't think that's happening. I think the culture of policing has been doing it the wrong way for so many years that they just don't see it as being wrong.
Mm-hmm. Because you got to figure you start from the bottom, right?
Right.
That chief or whoever started from the bottom, and whoever, it just keeps going and going and going. Somewhere in between that, it has to change.
They're not following training because we pay. Yes, that is exactly right. You're 100%. You're 100% on that.
And you would think, right, with the cameras coming out, they would care.
Yeah, that's surprising to me. That's surprising to me. They just
don't really.
I really thought that the cameras was going to force them to do it the right way. I really did. And they not caring at all. They're like, so. But when you think about it, if you at your job, right, and you just don't follow procedures or policy, and somebody else pays for your incorrect way or how you operate, there's no accountability. So who cares? Nobody cares about that. Can you imagine? Just imagine you're at your job doing whatever, and nobody else. If I mess up, nothing happens to me. Somebody else has to pay.
But do you think now, because I was saying this earlier, how because of the cameras now, right? They're expressing it more. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Are they key words that you guys?
Yes. Stop resisting. Stop resisting is a known fact that you learn that in the academy. I've learned that. My brother learned that. My sister-in-law learned. My cousin. We all talked about. Regardless of what you are doing in any type of physical altercation, you're trained to yell, stop resisting, stop resisting. You've seen it millions of times, so it supports that narrative. Like somebody is not even resisting, but you're yelling, stop resisting. Right. Because during training, you're being graded on how you use force and whether you yelled, stop resisting or not. So that's a part of it.
And then get on the floor. Dude, I'm already on the floor.
These
are things that you're taught in the academy to say to basically cover your ass.
Right.
Okay.
Can you add me, official King J? Yeah. Come on.
Let me see. Okay, yeah. Thank you, official King J. They support our page.
Hey, what's up? You there?
No, their internet is.
It looks like their internet is in and out. Go ahead and delete that person.
Is it us or them?
All right. When y'all look, I know it'd be a lot of trolls, and they hate the fact that we conversate like this because we're really informative and we're changing the narrative through this discussion. When somebody starts being ignorant, just let it go, because I don't want to delete and block you when there's no need to. And you're just responding to somebody being an asshole, so don't worry about that.
Listen, calling us the N-word,
No.
I am gonna get it all, but I'm just gonna let y'all know now. It ain't. We're still gonna be here. So.
30 some people.
Oh, hi, we're back. All right. What else? We're just waiting. Okay.
We're back. Okay, law enforcement at 1, at 2. Good. We're back.
All right, we're out over. My bad. Our bad. The conversation is good.
Make sure y'all support the podcast when we start. This is how the podcast is going to be, but it's going to be a little bit more better because we'll have more involvement with you guys. It is allowing us to add 2 people to the podcast start. So make sure y'all support that podcast. We got to keep this conversation alive, keep it going, and we're definitely going to be trying to get this bad cop bill started.
And the podcast is going to be crazy. It's going to be fire, but it's also going to be very educational. Things that we'll touch on, with the we never discussed the Jesse. I can never pronounce his name.
Jesse Smollett.
You know what I'm saying? Producing ID to the police. I know we talked about domestic violence. I'm big on the domestic violence within the police.
Right.
And PTSD and all these other things, and voting since 2020 is right around the corner. Things you guys need to know, because you're very informative on that also.
Right.
Your history and why we as a community need to go out and vote. Okay. So we're waiting on somebody, but it looks like
we're about to wrap up, and I thank you all for the support. Miss Confident Queen.
Hi, Miss Confident Queen.
We always appreciate her support. She behind the scenes is doing big things for us, so we appreciate that support. If anybody has been victimized by the police and they need to know what avenues to pursue, make sure you send me your information, DM me, and I'll direct you in the right path. So I do appreciate that. If there's any questions that you want to know about, because overall, policing is the same, but it varies just a little depending on the state. So depending on locality. So if you get into a situation where you don't know about, send me the question. And if I don't know, I'm definitely will look it up. I do a lot of research when it comes down to the videos, trying to keep abreast with the laws, search and seizure, right and wrong. So I'm just here to let you guys know, to give you all the information on when it comes down to how you need to keep yourself alive when dealing with an excessive aggressive police officer. So
if you guys have questions or you have topics of discussions for the podcast, let us know. Send it through the DM, or you could click the link and email us.
Hey, friend. What's up, friend? We ended now. You just gone. It's the first time I've seen you.
Thank you, everybody, for all the support. And everything that you guys are doing as well. Do you plan to pass this account to your children? We do plan on educating the youth.
Right.
As well, especially with, I know the youth now, there's this generation, they're not having it.
Right.
They are protecting their friends from police brutality, speaking up,
right.
But we're going to use this platform to educate them on how to do that correctly.
Right. If you have, we do a lot of traveling, so if you have a school that you want me to come and talk to the kids, just let me know. Send information in DM. That's one of my big, I guess one of my goals, my big goals is to educate these children to keep them safe from excessive aggressive police on how to deal with them. You know, a lot of people want to fight on the street. It's like if you're in the sports, the cops have the home court advantage on the street by far. There's ways to fight them outside of that, away from that street. So make sure that if, you know, when you're dealing with them, don't be so challenging on this. If you've done wrong, witnesses, record, and then DM me, and then I'll point you in the right path on how to fight back. Because right now, we don't have no means to fight back on the street. They have the home court advantage on the street. So I'd rather you tell me like, no, this is how he done wrong. This is how this officer done me wrong, and this is what I need help in. Then you become a hashtag because some excessive aggressive officer just shot and killed you. We trying to save lives here. We're not trying to, you know, go out there and be fighting with the police on the side of the road where we lose that battle all day, every day. There's a way to fight, and we need to educate you on how to fight. So with that said, I love the support you have been giving me, and Sunday? We'll be on Sunday? Right? That's our next time coming up? So. Yeah. We're trying to do Wednesdays and Sundays as our days to come live. And we'll let you know exactly when we start the podcast, and we'll take this conversation in. Thanks for the support, and love you.
That was my question.